Ooh, that's good, Commanders fans. So we got some news here that Christian Kirk got released. I think he's a guy that the Commanders definitely will target now, and they may sign him within the next couple days. I think they sign him before free agency. I think this is a cliff move. Jeremy Fowler pointed this out a couple weeks ago, saying that look out for Christian Kirk to be released and for a name to watch. And I like it if they go after Christian Kirk. I know Devontae Adams was released as well. And I've seen some people go back and forth on Devontae Adams. Should we sign him and stuff like that? Because, I know Devontae Adams, he said what he said on that podcast. I think it was with Armand Ross St. Brown, where he was like, he doesn't like the DC fans and the Commanders fans or Skins fans. It says we're miserable people and all this stuff. And he's all trash and all this stuff. So that's why a lot of people don't want him. And just the on the field or locker room antics are just like crying about not getting the football and him following Aaron Rodgers to the Jets and going on Pat McAfee's show and whatnot, and the way he kind of acted on the wide receiver show where he was complaining about getting the football. I think he said something about he cares about getting touches more than wins and losses or something. I might be mistaken about that. But I like Christian Kirk a lot, man. I like him a lot, and he was basically a cap casualty. Now he did just suffer a broken collarbone, so thank goodness it's not like a leg injury that he suffered or anything like that, like an ACL or torn Achilles. He's not coming off of any injury like that. And a collarbone, of course, is nothing to play with, but at least it's not like a leg injury or something like that. So that's the bright side. Excuse me, on Christian Kirk. But what I will say, I like his fit here either just as much as Debo or even better, because he can beat man coverage. And that's what Debo struggles at. He's not a man beater. He's not a separator or anything like that. He's more of a screen catch or yards after the catch guy or break tackles type of receiver. That's what Debo is. But if you want somebody to actually create separation and get downfield and make like a 50-yard catch or a 60-yard catch, and Debo has done it before. He did it against the Seahawks. A lot of it was yak. But for what Jaden does, Jaden likes to loft the ball up there with touch, like down to De'Ami Brown against the Lions or Terry McLaurin against numerous teams, against the Bears and Browns. Like that's what Jaden's looking for. You're not going to get that from Debo Samuel, where he's rolling out and he's going to throw a deep 60-yard pass to Debo. You're not going to get that from Debo. You're going to get that from Terry and most likely and a guy like Christian Kirk for the most part. Those are the type of plays that you can get from Christian Kirk. So that's why I feel like Christian Kirk would be a better fit for Jaden. And I'm not saying Debo's a bad fit, but I just feel like Jaden needs another receiver that can create separation and that can get open and that can beat man coverage early and often. And that's why I'm pretty high on getting Christian. I would like for them to sign Christian Kirk. I'd be pretty happy if they sign him. And I think he would fit perfectly in the role of being a wide receiver number 3, a wide receiver number 2. That's what Christian Kirk is really tailored for and tailored to do. Last year he was number 2 to Brian Thomas, who played with Jaden Daniels. So I think this would be a great move. He just got released. I think the Jaguars saved like $10 million or something like that. We talked about this a couple weeks ago when the thought of releasing him. So you look at some of the numbers for Christian Kirk. Now this year, of course, he didn't play in a lot of games, but he still put up some decent numbers. He had 379 yards receiving over a span of 8 games. So he had 27 catches, 379 yards, 18 first downs, which is pretty darn good. Let's see here. How many touchdowns did he have? I don't think he had any touchdowns at all, actually. No, he had 1 touchdown. 2023 had 3 touchdowns, 57 catches, 787 yards. That's about right for a wide receiver number 2. I think Noah Brown was on pace to do that. I think our second leading receiver, other than Zach Ertz, was Olamide Zaccheaus, and he ended up with 500 yards over 17 games. So you look at Christian Kirk's numbers, he got basically almost 800 yards in a span of 12 games in 2023. So he has missed some time. 2022, he played in all 17 games. That's where he had a 1,000-yard season and 8 touchdowns. So that's pretty darn good. He had 55 first downs, so he's a chain mover for sure. And then 2021 with Cliff, he had 77 catches for 982 yards and 5 touchdowns. And then again with Cliff, he had 48 catches for 621 yards and 6 touchdowns. And then in 2019, he had 68 catches for 709 yards and 3 touchdowns. So throughout his career, he's had 500 yards or better. Like I said, which that is basically wide receiver number 3 numbers, which is perfect for him coming here. And I think we can get him on a reasonable deal here. I don't think he's really going to break the bank or anything like that. I got to look at his projected market, but I don't think he would get anything over $10 million if that, to be honest with you. So I would definitely get in touch with Christian Kirk, and I would make a move to sign him today. I think we can shore up our wide receiver room really before free agency starts. And if they want to bring back Noah Brown, bring back OZ or whoever, and then just draft somebody, De'Ami Brown. So the wide receiver room, it could be Terry, Debo, Christian Kirk as your top three receivers. If you want to put Debo as number two or Christian Kirk as number two, it doesn't really matter. So those would be your top three guys, and then you either bring back Noah or De'Ami. You have Luke on the roster, so that's four with Luke. Four with Luke. I put up five fingers. So that's four with Luke. Re-sign De'Ami or Noah. You probably don't bring back both, so let's say that's five. Either one of those guys, and then six OZ, Jamison Crowder. One of those guys are probably going to walk, and then a rookie. You have a loaded wide receiver roster. It's not the sexiest wide receiver room, but it's a pretty darn big upgrade than what you had last year, where Noah Brown was your number two, De'Ami was your number two at times towards in the playoffs. Now you're looking at legitimate guys who are better suited to be your number two, number three, and then De'Ami would be your number four, and he got better towards the end of the year. And there are teams that are actually I'm not going to say actually, but that have legitimate interest in signing De'Ami Brown. So he might fool around and go somewhere else and get a nice paycheck. Like, he played well in the playoffs, so a lot of teams were watching that, clearly, GMs and coaches, and they like what they saw in the playoffs. I'm happy for De'Ami Brown. If he does get a solid contract somewhere else, then hey, he may be out of our price range, and I'm super happy for him, and he can do a documentary somewhere else. I would love for him to do another one here, of course, but it looks like the documentary for De'Ami Part 2 may be with a different team. But let's look at some advanced numbers for Christian Kirk as well. 2023, he had a perfect 158.3 NFL rating when targeted deep, which is 20-plus yards or more. So he had 6 catches for 189 yards and 2 touchdowns when he was targeted 20-plus yards or more. So he's a legit deep threat. In 2023, the best receivers are getting open. In 2024, the best receivers are getting open through September 25th at a 75.86% rate was Christian Kirk. Also, Christian Kirk, when targeted in 2023, had 104.6 quarterback rating, which is really, really good. He also played really well against us a couple years ago when we played against the Jaguars with Christian Kirk. That was with Carson Wentz, and he beat Ben St. Juste down the field for like a 30, 40-yard pass from Trevor Lawrence. Some other advanced stats here that I have for Christian Kirk. Let's see here. Where are they at? But yeah, Christian Kirk, man, his 2023 season was really good. It was really, really good. He did have a touchdown in the game where the Jaguars came back to beat the Chargers in the playoffs in the wild card round. So he did a really good job in that. 2023 wide receiver leaders in YPRR versus press coverage, minimum 100 routes per PFF. Christian Kirk ranked 6th with 2.72. So that's what I'm saying. When he's a guy that can beat man coverage. Deebo Samuel, that's not his forte right now. So we need somebody that can beat man coverage, and Christian Kirk does that. Christian Kirk had a career best 14 yards per catch in 2024 with 13.8 in 2023 as well. So I'm looking at the highlights when he was with the Cardinals and he beat Dallas for like a 50-yard touchdown, an 80-yard touchdown pass from Kyler Murray. So he's a deep threat too that can stretch the field. Like, you cannot double team Terry McLaurin anymore. What the Eagles do all the time against us, double teaming Terry, bracketing Terry, you can't do that anymore. And that's what I love about upgrading the wide receiver position across the whole room for the Washington Commanders to help Jaden Daniels out. So, yeah, man, I think Christian Kirk would be a good addition to the team. You look at his game log in 2023, he had 104 yards against the San Francisco 49ers, 84 yards receiving against the Falcons, 110 yards receiving against the Kansas City Chiefs with 11 catches. So he had some really big, he had 90 yards against the New Orleans Saints. In 2024, didn't have really a lot of big games, but he had 88 yards receiving against the Colts, 79 yards receiving against the Buffalo Bills, and 59 yards receiving against the Green Bay Packers. So he had a couple 100-yard receiving games. Oh, and then Cliff had this to say about Christian Kirk when he had him in with the Cardinals. I want to find this tweet here real quick. He says, "I love Christian Kirk. I love Christian. He's one of my favorite players I've ever been around. So as far as doing everything right and working hard and a tremendous player, I told Doug Peterson yesterday, you're going to love coaching this guy. He's going to get up. He's going to be tough, and he's going to make a bunch of plays for you." End quote. So, yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. So you guys let me know what you guys think. A Terry McLaurin extension should be on the way. Ben Standing did say that it could be $30 million per year, or at least $30 million per year, and Terry definitely deserves that for sure. He deserves $30 million per year. Do want to see the top wide receiver salaries in the league real quick before I sign off. Yeah, the highest paid receiver in the league is Justin Jefferson with $35 million. So Terry would be tied for fourth with Ross St. Brown, Tyreek Hill, Brandon Ayuk with $30 million per year if he does get a $30 million per year extension. And he's better than Tyreek. Well, I'm going to say better than Tyreek. But he had a better season than Tyreek last year. He's better than Brandon Ayuk for sure. I would take him over Ross St. Brown, to be honest with you. And I think he's better than Jaden Waddle. I think he's better than DJ Moore. He's better than Cooper Kupp, who's getting 26 mil. T. Higgins is getting 26 mil per year. Devontae Smith, 25 mil per year. Nico Collins, 24 mil per year. So Terry McLaurin is a top 5 receiver in the league to me after last season for sure. All right, you guys. You guys let me know what you guys think. As always, Health Commanders. Peace.